So if the courts block Trump's use of the National Guard, he said today he would invoke the Insurrection Act. Have a listen.
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe.
So, Sean, what does that mean, and how would it work if Trump were to take it to that level?
Well, it means that he would literally call them up under that clause, which is the Insurrection Act. It's from the 1700s. To be honest with you, as much as I support what President Trump is doing, I think the courts would not look favorably on that. There's not an insurrection. There might be a lot of crime, but I don't think that anyone could claim that there's actually an insurrection trying to overthrow the United States government. James, that being said, what is nuts about this whole thing, and the president alluded to this in the clip that you first played, is that these governors, these mayors, are literally not doing what's in the best interest of their people. Regardless of how much they like or don't like President Donald Trump, they should care about the safety of their own citizens. And look, here's the dirty secret that nobody wants to talk about, because they've done it in city after city. Number one, they decriminalize things. So they pass laws saying what was used to be a crime is no longer a crime. Then two, they tell the cops, don't prosecute, don't go after certain things. And so then they basically come out and say, see, crime's going down. Like I live pretty close to Washington, D.C. It is a much safer city than it was 3-4 months ago. You can walk safely down the street, not just during the day, but at night. People are going out, strolling, going for runs, walking to restaurants, things like that. Chicago is a very dangerous place. And regardless of what the mayor there, Mayor Johnson or Governor Pritzker say in Illinois, the reality is that if you ask any person who actually lives in Chicago, if they feel safe walking down even the tourist spots like the Magnificent Mile, they'll tell you that they feel that there's no way that they would walk those places at night. It's not safe. It doesn't matter what the statistics say or the politicians say. Anybody that lives there will tell you exactly what's going on.
All right, well, speaking of Democrats and their penchant for crime, there's been a lot of talk about the need to tone down the political rhetoric, especially in the wake of the murder of Charlie Kirk, repeated assassination attempts against Donald Trump. So I would have thought everyone would agree toning it down was a good idea. But the Democrats are continuing to support their nomination for Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones, despite the fact he recently called for his political opponent to be shot in the head.
Twice. He said he wants him shot. Let's just be clear so your viewers understand this. He said, if I had 2 bullets and there were 3 people, Hitler, Pol Pot, and Todd Gilbert being the former speaker, the Republican speaker of the Virginia House of Delegates, I would use both on Gilbert in his head, and then I'd go after his family. That's not a one-off comment. That's pretty sick and depraved. And then today, there's another phone call that came out where he said that some cops would have to die before they understood what it was like and learn their lessons. This is a guy who wants to be the top law enforcement official in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where I live. And it's unbelievable, not only what he said, but the measly, weaselly things that they've done to sort of excuse this. Not one top Democrat has called for him to step aside. Not one, not a single one. And James, this comes on the heels of Democrats' silence when it comes to attacks on federal ICE agents this weekend. In the city of Chicago, ICE agents were literally under attack. And a chief dispatcher in the Chicago Police Department refused to send backup to help them, leaving them there to struggle on their own. That's how bad this has gotten. And not one Democrat said, hey, that's not right. These are federal employees. These are federal agents enforcing the law. And yet silence. These guys love to talk about both sides. When one of their own took out Charlie Cook, when one of their own tried to kill Donald Trump, when one of their own tried to kill a bunch of Republican softball players, when someone on the left shot the CEO of United Healthcare point blank in cold blood on the streets of New York, and they sit silent now, because at the end of the day, here's the dirty little secret, James, that they don't want to tell you. They kind of agree with it. Most of their base believes that killing an opponent is acceptable, that violence is acceptable, and they're not willing to take on their own base.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous what you've just said, but the more you watch and the more you see, the more you're inclined to believe what you have just said, that they actually do support this violence. I note the irony also that Jay Jones, it's been revealed, received about $200,000 in funding from a gun control organisation when he himself is fantasising about shooting his opponents. So that irony is quite delicious.
By the way, can I just say this, James? The idea that you fantasize, like it's not like I can be joking and I'd say I'm so angry I could kill you, right? That's the one-off. Maybe you could justify that as a joke. The way that these texts read, to your point about fantasizing, he put a lot of thought in how he would kill this man. This isn't a one-off deal. He literally spent time thinking about how he'd commit the act. This isn't a joke. It's not a one-off. This is a depraved, sick man that wants to be the top law enforcement agent in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And frankly, it's embarrassing to see Democrats make excuses about this and say that it was a one-off. When Jay Jones was first confronted with this, he literally said that this was Jason Miyares, who is the incumbent attorney general, his attempt at a smear campaign.
Unbelievable. All right, before I let you go, I need to ask about the government shutdown. It's about to enter its second week. As I understand it, there's around 2 million federal workers, including air traffic controllers, working without pay. How long can this continue, and is there any sign of resolution?
So the way I say this is that the Government Services Administration puts out a schedule of when federal employees and military members get paid. They're going to miss their paycheck very soon, meaning it's one thing not to pay people, but ultimately to get in their paycheck real quick so they really wouldn't see the difference. They're going to start seeing the difference quick. Now, yes, they will get paid back. That's just how in this country we've always done it. But for many people, they live paycheck to paycheck, and this is going to be a problem for Democrats. I think they're going to start to feel the pain. They're going to start to hear from their constituents that they're having a hard time getting by. At the end of the day, this is silly. Democrats have argued over and over again for 13 times when they were in control that there should be a clean CR, meaning just past current levels, and suddenly now they've changed their tune. All that Republicans are trying to do is to buy more time to continue the negotiations, and Democrats have decided that they're just going to keep the government shut. This is on them. There's plenty of time to negotiate on their policy issues. When Donald Trump wanted to shut down the government 8 years ago over his border wall, they said it was ridiculous and that we should have a clean CR. Now it's them that are throwing a policy fight into the middle of keeping the government open. So to answer your question, my guess is that probably by Friday of this week, we start to see, look, we had 3 Democrats defect in the Senate. We need 5 more. I think that we're going to start by the end of this week, maybe Thursday or Friday, starting to see 1 or 2, 3 more peel off. And then that'll start an avalanche of the final few to get us to a reopening.
Sean Spicer, always great to catch up with you. Thanks for your time this evening.
You bet, James. Thank you for having me.